Hello and welcome to what is a very special episode because this has been long overdue. Today, we're going to be talking about how we can merge all of the theories and abstractions and fantasies that we create in our head and bring them in alignment with what is actually true within reality. And I want to start this episode by saying that that's right, you have a very unique advantage in this lifetime. And that is your unfair advantage. What does that mean? Well, you could be having an advantage over somebody else in some aspect of your life. Perhaps you were good at your studies in your schooling. Perhaps you were good at writing. Perhaps you were good at memorizing something. Perhaps you had a gift with instruments. Perhaps you enjoyed painting a lot more than others. Whatever that might be, you have a certain advantage that you were born with. I know that that's a little hard to digest for some people because when we're talking about advantage, we usually think of a silver spoon that people were born into, where everything is just say, served for them and they don't have to worry too much about their survival. And while that is also an unfair advantage, it might not be yours. And if it's not yours, then what do you have that you can use to your leverage so that you can create a good life? You see, your unfair advantage is actually being different. What's actually unique about you, you know? And once you understand that, you know how to manipulate reality to accommodate that difference and actually thrive in those differences within reality. So, today we're going to be talking about how we can place ourselves in a disposition where your unfair advantage is actually contributing to something better, something higher than you, and to be able to not fret too much, right, about all of the things that you weren't given. Because if we choose to focus only on what we don't have, then we become very unaware of the kind of privilege as well as gifts that we've been given. See, the thing is, your ability to be uniquely you is not to actually force yourself into a situation where you're not really accepted, but rather contribute and bring yourself into acceptance. I know that that's a little abstract, and I want to allude to that with an example of an event that I got the opportunity to shoot. Was for these high fashion brands, fast fashion brands to be fair. And it was this huge party that was held with a bunch of A and B list celebrities that came as guests and all of that. You know, the works. And I think in one of my vlogs earlier, which I never posted, I had mentioned that when you're going to a set, you dress all black because you want to be as discreet as possible. You want to conceal your presence within the set so that the talent spotlight is not taken away and that you can adhere to a code or a uniform of some sort. So it doesn't need to be mostly said when it comes to our appearance on set that it's preferably black all the time. But for this event, I made a conscious decision to not wear black, but to actually dress up somewhat like a stealth wealth or a quite luxury type of an attire. I choose to wear that and go for the shoot. And everybody in my crew is wearing black. I'm the only odd one out. And that got me a little unnerved, but the manager of that event that hired me came up to me and said, "Hey, Philip, nice fit." And that was enough. That was enough validation for me to be confident with the attire that I chose to wear for that day, the so called uniform that I broke. And that gave me a lot more opportunity to be open and flirty with some of the girls that were present there, which ended up getting me the type of content which most other people could not get, because I felt like I was one of them and I didn't feel like an outcast. Now, would I do the same thing in a film set where it's just in a studio, all blackout curtains? No, absolutely not. Like, that's not the time and place to do it. But this was. And it was clearly rewarded because I got validation from the event manager and I got validation from the people that I needed to get the content out of. And it is a little classist if you think about that kind of separation, but any sort of fictions that we create in our mind of this is not how it should be, classism should not be there, is just fighting what actually is presently true, and you're not going to get anywhere doing that. So it's about how can you manipulate your circumstances to fit yourself best into it. And this usually comes with inner conflict or fear. And what I mean by that is the fear of not being accepted. And so you choose to fit in because you have that fear of missing out on something that potentially might be interesting. And when you find yourself in that position, you are fighting the inner demons that that split between, fuck, I really don't enjoy being here, but at the same time I will miss out if I stay here. And it's your persistence and your ability to be very decisive that makes so that you don't have either of those really, because you see, authentic living will be rewarded duly. All you need to do is kind of live a purpose built life that contributes more than it asks for. So because of my appearance, because of my because of the way that I chose to carry myself that evening, I got treated a lot better than most of the people that were working alongside me. I was the only one that they came up to personally, the event managers, and said, "Hey, Philip, it's going to be a long night. Anytime you feel hungry, call us. We'll grab you aside and we'll get you a bite." And they did. That's exactly what happened 20 minutes after when I said, "Yo, before the party picks up any further, can I grab a bite?" They took me aside. They fed me well. They made sure that I was comfortable. And they just gave me general instructions. They were not on top of my head. They just were confident in my ability to deliver simply because of how I chose to present myself. And that is my unfair advantage, right? My unfair advantage is probably lying in my technical prowess, which is all of the stuff that happens behind the scenes of whatever you are watching right now, which is what camera do I shoot with, what lens do I shoot with, what is the audio solution that I wish to employ, how can all of this work together, where does the lighting go, how do I get my pointers for when I want to speak like this. I've kind of nailed down the behind the scenes aspect of it. And now I am focusing more on my presentability in front of the camera, and that's mostly through language and through appearance. So looking good has to play a big role in that, and language also, being well spoken, well mannered, has to also play with that. And so with me finicking all of these little avenues in my life all the time, I've made myself a niche that's not very it's not out there yet, but it has the means to be out there if I just keep putting more work into it. And that's the same advantage, unfair advantage, that I used to my advantage that evening when I presented myself a certain way. I looked the part, I was dressed the part, I spoke the part, and I had the technical prowess to execute on what was the vision. So find out how you can climb this social ladder to bring yourself to an upstanding where you can be comfortable. It's not to seek for a lot of money, power, fame. It's not for that as much as it is to enable you to create a life where you can do what the fuck you love and get paid for doing exactly that, where it feels like play to do so. Because you see, nothing is random, but at the same time we should avoid the error of living just in our abstractions and obscure ways of how we think what should be, and instead divert all of that attention to what actually could be. You know, instead of being a moralist and saying that this shouldn't be there, this should be there, this cannot be the way that it is, instead of being in denial with reality, understand how you can become one with it so that it serves you best. Because if you observe the divine design of everything that exists, you will come to that insight that everything is beautifully designed, and everything is purpose intently designed. Something and everything actually serves a function. Without it serving a function, nothing exists. So do something remarkable, right? Do something that people will tell you, oh my God, that was phenomenal, whatever you did. And through that, you can create a life where it's just a series of remarkable things and it's something that you can look fondly on. This is what I encourage people of my age to chase the most, is to create stuff that moves, that has a lasting impact on the people that you choose to interact with or come into their picture. So this is it from me for today. It's about your unfair advantage, right? Let's not forget about that. Find out what is it that you have an advantage over other people and use that to your leverage. Kind of like jiu-jitsu, you know, these martial arts where it's not you that's putting in all of that power, but instead you are channeling the opponent's power so that it works against them. And that's exactly what you should do with reality also. It's like channel the rules and all of the ways in which reality has been set up so that it can work for you, because you understand it also well. It's also important to not project onto your observations, you know, just observe without your projection. I think that's also quite important that people overlook. So that's it from me today. Hope you guys enjoyed the new style, the new format. There's going to be more coming. I know that this was a little bleak, but it's honestly been a very long time since I've made a video where I'm just facing the camera. And so it takes time for me to acclimatize to all of these things. But I hope to do this on a regular basis soon. And yeah, stay tuned for more content. That's all I can say. Philly Wonka is out. Peace, guys. Take care.